Do that, Mr. Greco? You're funny. Good stuff. Very good stuff. I want to just, first of all, before I get to my dear friend Sally, I just wanted to, on behalf of the morning call, congratulate all of tonight's inductees, Heidi, Christopher, Nancy, Dave, and coming up next, the great 1996 men's basketball team, which features a lot of individuals who I covered when they were in high school. Way back with some of these guys like Amy Stevens and Kevin Foley and so forth. But what a great night it is. I've always enjoyed my time coming down to DeSales. I've covered them all over the years. Where am I welcome? I guess everywhere, but I've always felt welcome here at DeSales, and I've enjoyed my time covering Freddie Richter's women's basketball teams, and of course Scotty Coble's men's basketball teams. And Valero Hall is still a very, very special place, and I do enjoy my time. I wish I could get down here more, but I do enjoy this university and what you guys do here at DeSales. You alluded to that I've been around the morning call for a long time, and next year, some would say it's not a celebration, they would say mourning rather than celebrating, but next year I celebrate my 30th year as a full-time writer for the morning call newspaper. But, you know, in 30 years, you get to cover a lot of kids. I do get to do the Phillies and do get to do the Eagles on occasion. For 10 years, I was the 76ers beat writer. But mostly, in my 30 years, I've been a high school guy. It's where I want to be. I still think that's our bread and butter. Gotta support the youth around here and encourage them. And some people really, I mean, some athletes over the years, they stand out. Sometimes you want them to come and go, but especially you want their parents to go. But over the years, a couple people stand out. And without doubt, in my 30 years at the paper, if I did a Keith Groller or Mount Rushmore, certainly when it comes to female athletes, and all athletes really, Sally Whittaker would be on my Mount Rushmore. She stood out to me way back as a high school athlete at Parkland High School. When you covered high school kids, there a lot of them are shy. A lot of them, maybe because of their parents, what they hear at the dinner table, their parents say negative things about the morning call. They say negative things about Keith Groller. They don't want to talk to you, and so sometimes it's not easy to go up and interview a high school athlete. Not Sally. Sally would call me over, basically say, "I want to talk to you." And she'd usually come with a bag of cookies in her arm, and she knew that was the way to my heart. And you know, even if she did nothing in those games, I'd always talk to Sally because of those cookies. But most of the time, she deserved to be talked to because she was one of the very best softball players in the history of the Lehigh Valley. She's a member of the Lehigh Valley Softball Hall of Fame. She's also I believe still the all-time leading female basketball scorer in the history of Parkland High School, and also was an outstanding volleyball player. She is without question one of the best female athletes ever to come out of this valley. And probably if she devoted herself to one sport, she probably would have went Division I and would have been a knockout star. But Sally, so versatile, so talented in so many things. And probably if she played soccer, she would have been a soccer star, tennis, on down the line. But the three sports she chose to play were softball, basketball, and volleyball. And DeSales, being the great school that it is, offers that opportunity to be a three-sport athlete. And after a stop at Millersville, you know, Sally wound up here. And what a great place this was for her, because it allowed her the opportunity to be a standout in three sports. And her records are fantastic. She's still one of the all-time great hitters on the softball team. She also made her mark on a championship volleyball team and also in basketball. And the record's there. The record's in the program, and you don't need me to read it for you. But why this school should be proud of this young lady is not because of stats, not because of records on the page. Yes, she deserves to go down as one of the best athletes ever in the school's history and up the road up 309 at Parkland High School. well, it's not 309 anymore. It's over at Cedar Crest Boulevard. You get my point. Sally deserves to be recognized because she's one hell of a person. She's now the head coach at Northampton High School, softball coach. And she's going to win championships. She's had success. She's won far more games than she's lost in her limited time as the head coach. But what Sally brings to high school sports is what we so badly need. It's one word: fun. Sally makes sure her kids have a fun experience. Unfortunately, and I've seen this change in my 30 years at the paper, we've lost the sense of fun. It's about pushing. We started 6 years old, 5 years old. Got to get them on traveling teams. Got to get them playing here. Got to get them there. Pushing for scholarships. Pushing because we want to be the best in the neighborhood. We want our name in the paper. We want to be the best this, best that. Somewhere along the way, we've lost the concept of fun. Well, despite her great success, fun has always been first and foremost with Sally Whittaker. Her teams have the most fun. They may not win championships, but I guarantee you they have the most fun. That's first and foremost. Second of all, she has learned to turn sports into a vehicle to help others. She makes sure her team every year participates in a wonderful organization called the Miracle League, where kids can't walk. I mean, they're in wheelchairs. They have a special field. She makes sure she's up there with her team every year, not just one day. I'm talking about 20 days, working with the Miracle League. She makes sure her team travels and spends time at with an organization called Angel 34, which helps kids and their families battling cancer. As far back, this is in the program, back a few years ago when Hurricane Katrina wiped out almost all the Gulf Coast down there, Sally organized a great effort to take prom dresses. She collected prom dresses and took it down to those people in great need down on the Gulf Coast. This is what I'm talking about. DeSales should be proud of her because she was a great athlete. But I think they should be more proud of her what she's become. And that's what an institution should be about. It should be about producing people who are going to contribute great things in their lives. Sally has definitely done that. And again, she's a championship coach. She's a championship player. She's a Hall of Fame athlete. She's also a Hall of Fame person. And all I can tell you is my blog, which is sometimes it's just a nut house there with some of the comments I get. But on the top of my blog, my Groller's Corner blog at the mcall.com site, Sally's picture's there. It's not an accident. Sally's up there with me. We're smiling. I have my arm around her, and we're smiling. And that's a reminder to me that what this is all about is fun. It's about much more than who wins, who loses, what championship is won tonight, what records have been set. It's about having fun. That's what sports was originally all about. Yeah, you can get a lot of great things out of sports. And but ultimately, the reason we get into athletics is for fun. Sally's never lost sight of that. And I treasure her as a friend. She's still, to this day, when I'm down, when I'm getting beaten up by parents and, things aren't going well for me, and I think writers have slumps too. And writers have stretches where they can't seem to please everybody or anybody. Sally calls me up and says, hey, hang in there, you're still my favorite. And that picks me up. So you imagine if she picks me up, what she does for her kids that she coaches at Northampton. Again, Parkland High School can be very proud. DeSales University can be very proud. And I'm very proud to call her my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, your new Hall of Famer, Sally Whittaker-Kahan.
Don't worry, this is not long, it just has big writing, because I've finally come to the conclusion that I am getting old, and it's a little bit more difficult to see. When I thought about this, giving this 8 to 10 minute speech, which I think most of us have probably gone over or just slightly over, I thought I'd go the funny route. And then my husband probably was thinking, you know what, Sal? Probably shouldn't, because that potty mouth of yours will just keep going and it won't be good. I mean, we are in a Catholic institution, so I decided to go the serious route. Plus, I don't know how I would have been able to follow Dave's routine. He should have his own stand-up comic show. It was just phenomenal. So I decided to go the serious route, and I wrote down something that means a lot to me. And I wanted to share my experiences with you in the hopes that there's a lesson learned. I'll get to that in just a minute after I thank everybody that I'm supposed to thank and that of course I want to thank. Obviously the Hall of Fame Committee, thank you so much for thinking of me, voting me in. What an amazing honor. I am completely humbled. And after listening to Keith, I didn't even realize I was that great of a person, but hey, thanks. Appreciate it. I'd like to thank my DeSales coaches and of course the athletic staff. John Gump, who's a Hall of Famer here, started off as volleyball coach. Fred Richter. When I was at Millersville, they called me, knowing full well that I was transferring, and I think every week I got a call from each of them saying, come play. And I said, oh, okay. So I did. And then I eventually played all 3 sports, and I had a fabulous time. If I were to tell a funny story, Coach Richter, if you remember the Chinese fire drill, on a rainy night when your assistant coach didn't have his driver's license with him, that's probably the funniest I'm going to get. I ran a lot for that one. It was not fun. I mean, it was fun at the time, just not the next day of practice. I'd like to thank my parents, Bill Whittaker, Kathy Whittaker. You guys were always my biggest supporters, my biggest fans, even when you were criticizing my play. It's okay, I get it. I know what you were trying to do, Dad. It's all right. Love you for it. I'd like to thank my brother, Scott. He has been a light in my life. We've had an amazing relationship all these years, and I can't imagine my life without him. He's amazing. Thank you, Scott, for all of your love and support. I'd like to thank my best friend, Mindy, who I actually played against over in Valera Hall when she was at NYU. We were both wrapped up in a lot of tape and ankle braces and knee braces, but somehow or another we got through that. It was pretty amazing. Thank you for all these years. And of course, Keith, I treasure your friendship. It's been over 20 years that I've known you. It started with Dunkin' Donuts, chocolate chip pancakes, and it has formed into an amazing friendship. Thank you so much for everything you do, not only for me, but for the Lehigh Valley and local sports. All right, here goes the serious stuff, folks. I wrote down a little speech, so you're going to have to bear with me. I think it's under the 10-minute mark, but we'll see. As I thought about this Hall of Fame induction, I started to reminisce about my experiences in sports after all these years. I had some great times in high school and college, as you heard before, with memories of good friends, great coaches, fun bus and van rides, pizza parties, and pasta dinners with the teams. Then I started wondering how and why sports had become such a big part of my life. So I thought long and hard over the past few weeks to find the answers. So here goes. The how sports became a big part of my life. My memories took me as far back as first grade. It was then that I started playing softball for a local organization, and from day one I felt right at home. I had amazing coaches that always challenged me to be better and learn new skills. I was always willing to move up a level of play, even when I was nervous playing with the big girls, all because I knew my coaches just believed in me. I also had the privilege of playing kickball and tackle football with my big brother and all his friends as well. It was so exciting to be chosen for the team before most of the boys in the older grades. Then came junior high school. I was asked by a few of my new friends to try out for the junior high basketball team in 7th grade. I was totally excited. But to make a long story short, I was cut from the program. The coach and my father had a conversation that ended with, "Mr. Whittaker, Sally's just not cut out for the basketball program here at school. You may want to guide her into another sport because she just isn't that good at basketball. It was devastating. Then came 8th grade. Despite my failure the previous year, I decided to give basketball another chance. I finally made the team, but I really wasn't that good yet. 9th grade came and I was doing really well, blossoming into a pretty decent basketball player on the team. When I was asked to suit up for varsity games, though, I got so nervous that I even faked injuries and illnesses just so I didn't have to go into any of the games. I only scored 10 points at the varsity level that year, and as you heard, I scored a few more after that. As I got over my nerves from freshman year, I discovered this intense competitive drive and a sense of confidence that I didn't even realize was possible before. It was the feeling of being on top of the world because I scored 20 points during a basketball game, jump served the most beautiful ace in a volleyball match, or hit the double that scored the winning run in a softball game. Sports became my natural high. They are part of my reason why I'm standing here today, at this very moment. The other part responsible for me standing here answers the other question I asked myself before today, the why question. Why did sports become such a big part of my life? After a while, the answer came to me, but the question had deeper meaning to it than I initially thought. See, what I didn't tell you is that despite all the good memories I have from my success in softball, basketball, volleyball, even as far back as the kickball and tackle football games with the boys, life for me was not so good outside of sports. I was a very sad, confused, lonely, and desperate child. I didn't get why people cried up here either, Heidi, till now. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It started at the very beginning of elementary school and lasted 7 whole years. I was bullied. Girls, boys, classmates, even friends bullied me every day of every year during elementary school. I had glasses, short hair, and was a tomboy who preferred to play with matchbox cars and mud piles, or do Pete Rose slides in the backyard on a rainy day with my brother, rather than play with dolls or experiment with makeup. In short, I was different, and for me, it made my life miserable. I came home from school every day and cried, wondering how I was going to survive another day. My parents never knew because deep down I was too ashamed to tell them what was going on in school. No one truly knew what was happening to me. I was dying inside. I wanted to die. I didn't know how I was going to get through every single day. So I asked myself, how did I ever get through that nightmare? How did I survive? As I dug deeper into the memories, I realized that it was my sports, plain and simple, yet so vital to my well-being. Sports were my only outlet that allowed me to feel good about myself. It provided validation and positive recognition for who I really was. If it wasn't for sports, I highly doubt I would be who and where I am today. Every time I walked on the court or the field, everything in my life disappeared. I had no heartache, no sadness, and no desperation. I felt free, happy, and alive. I spent time with people that shared in this joy and accepted me for who I was. Sports were my refuge, something I looked forward to on the days the bullying seemed so relentless. Sports eventually took me to places that I never would have reached without them. Besides my parents, sports made me the person I am today. Sports helped create an amazing, unbreakable bond over the years between my brother Scott and me. Sports brought me Mindy, my best friend of 23 years, who I strive to be like then and now. Sports provided me with good role models in my coaches who encouraged me to get up every time someone knocked me down, whether it was in practice, during a game, or in life. Sports have allowed me to realize the importance of teamwork, dedication, and commitment. They taught me how to confront and conquer my fears, how to deal with conflict and failure, and how to work with others even though we may not always get along. Sports have taught me about humility, that there will always be someone bigger, stronger, quicker, better. Sports have taught me how to be successful despite the obstacles that tend to get in the way. Sports have taught me to never give up on anything. So when people say that sports are overrated, should be cut from school budgets, or don't teach kids good life lessons, tell them they're wrong. Tell them that being a part of a team matters. Learning about discipline and commitment matters. And that healthy competition matters. Tell them that sports can help mold children into successful, productive, and respected members of society, and prepare children and young adults for the real world. Tell them that sports can save lives. Today, I am a teacher, a coach, a volunteer, a wife, sister, a daughter, an aunt, a friend, and a member of the DeSales University Athletic Hall of Fame, all of which I would not be today without sports. Thank you.